The next speaker I first heard about when I was on a wonderful walk in Bridgeton, Maine, coordinated by one of her younger friends, Rosemary Weiser. And I heard about this woman in California, Kaitlyn Stevens Pintor, and that she was this wonderful, wonderful person. And did I know her? And I said, no, I hadn't. And then later on that summer, we started to do a walk in San Jose, and it tanked. We invested a lot of time and energy, and it wasn't going to happen. And then I discovered Kaitlyn. And Kaitlyn came and saved the day, and I started to meet a lot of wonderful people, some of whom are here today. And now we've started to build a relationship in the Bay Area, and we have one beginning in San Diego, and we see this being an RSD base here. And Kaitlyn is going to be our front person. And we are applying for money to base the model that she's going to talk about across the country, because as all of us know, there's not enough support, there's not enough information, there's not enough consistency out there. And again, the mission of our organization is to support everyone affected by CRPS RSD. So one of our favorite Californians is coming to speak, Kaitlyn Stevens Pintor.
Thank you. Just take a look around for a moment. Just look around at all the faces that are here. This day is so rare. This is a game changer for all of us. It's like past 2:30 and you made it. I know some of you are napping over there in the back. It's okay.
We're doing it right up front.
Okay. Community. Many of you are from the Bay Area. Could you just raise your hand if you live in California, just so I can get a view. Awesome. And if you're from out of state, raise your hand. Excellent. The beauty of community for those of us that have CRPS is you will find amongst each other today an understanding that you cannot find oftentimes in any other part of your life. Those of you that are here, the relationships that you make this weekend can be so far-reaching and possibly some of the closest relationships you'll have in your life. You may not know that in this moment. Maybe you've been recently diagnosed and it's overwhelming to see people years beyond where you are, and you wonder, you know, am I going to end up in a wheelchair? Am I going to end up someplace else? But wherever you are in the journey, all of those thoughts that you have, the fears that you have about being a part of the CRPS community, fears of not having enough support, fears of your family not understanding, all of those, just picture like that floating up here above your heads. And each of us relates to that. Each of us are having the same conversation in our minds at some point on this journey. Does that make sense? If you are in a support group, raise your hand. You consider yourself in a support group. If that support group is face-to-face, put your hand down. If you have a face-to-face support group, put your hand up. Okay. This is what I want to change. This is what you can change and what we can do together. So what is an authentic community? What does it look like? What does it feel like? It's that sense of belonging. It validates our experiences, relationships to lean on. Maybe that's someone that you call at any hour, somebody you can text, somebody you can message on Facebook. It eases the depression, the isolation that happens in that wave along your journey. There's going to be those down days. If you have a community that you belong to where they understand it's okay to have those bad days. It's a space to be heard and to share what you've learned. You're going to have an opportunity to do that at the end of my presentation. And each of you are learning so many things. Every life is so different. And your doctors, your experiences, every place that you've come from, all those life skills that you've learned, that whatever's so true for you, the essence of who you are, if you voice that, every one of us can benefit from that. And so in our communities online, it's a great platform for that to happen without a whole lot of physical effort. It's empowering. It creates a sense of purpose and hope. Inspires awareness. The only way we're going to get the word out is if we come together. How many of you want your community to know what it is without you explaining it? Yeah. You know, how would you like to see a public service announcement on television? Yeah. Let's wear our orange. It provides resources. I mean, just today, I don't know if you heard any conversations at lunch, but it's remarkable. I mean, the resources that are in this room right now, not only what career you used to have, the way that you've raised your children, which doctors you've gone to see, all of that, all put together, but who you are is a resource for the person sitting next to you. And when you are suffering for a long period of time, you can forget that so easily. You have not lost who you are. You may have lost pieces of it, but hanging on to that and knowing that you could be the answer for somebody else, that you have something to give. If you're a caregiver or patient, you have something to give the person sitting next to you. I can't emphasize that enough. For so long I didn't believe it. This is true. Did you know that 15 to 20% of people, I'm going to probably word this in the wrong way now. Let's read it all together. People with a strong sense of community belonging are more likely to report being in good physical and mental health. 15 to 20%. So if you're not in a support group, if you're not in a community, you don't have to call it support group. Sometimes we just don't like the term. I don't want to be in a support group. If you enter in even just a little bit, your pain level is going to go down. It will. It really does go down.
So would you do something that would you try something out that could give you 20% pain relief? Or 15% if someone recommended it? Would you be willing to step into that? So just think about that today. Picture where you're at right now. This is what I always hear if somebody doesn't have a support group. You guys have all heard this, and I've said all of these things probably at one time or another too. And I don't have community, why don't I have it? Because first we have to figure out if we don't have it, what conversations are we having that are kind of keeping us in a space where we're not stepping into what's available or creating what we need to have. There isn't a group in my area. How many of you have said that? You don't have a group in your area? Yeah. That's very isolating. If you feel like you're the only one, Noelle was here this morning from Petaluma. We lived in the same county for 9 years, diagnosed the same year, and we never met until 3 months ago. I mean, how many years did it take you to find somebody, that you could meet face to face and just have that understanding without any words? It's so phenomenal when you meet somebody and you don't have to, you just look at them like I look at you and I know that you know what I'm going through. And there's nothing more valuable than that to me during this journey. So I don't want to be in a room full of other people complaining. You've never said that, right? Yeah, I don't want to be in a room full of other people complaining either. But when you're in that journey, if I hear this often for people that are going to pain management classes and they're like, well, they don't have RSDSA. They don't have CRPS. They don't know what this is like. And we end up in this kind of comparing of, their symptoms versus my symptoms, or they only have it in their arm, I have it in my body. And we don't even know, we're not even always aware that that's what we're doing. But we do it because we're human, right? So I can barely handle my own pain is another thing. There might be days where you don't want to show up to your coffee meetup, but you have to go anyway. because you're in mine. But, there might be those days, and that's okay. It's totally okay. You have to reassess. But just remember that you don't want to stay there. You don't want to stay there. I started a group once, but no one came. How many of that has happened to? Okay, I'm the only one. All right. Sam, yeah. I was the only person in my group for a while, and for me it was like that was my appointment with my journal. But I had to be committed if I wanted a group. One person has to go. And Sam, I don't know how many years were you going before? Yeah, 4 or 5 years, and but it happens, and across the United States, across the world. I got an email from someone in Portugal the other day, Brazil. They're dying to have groups, and in the U.S., people are dying. They want more than what's on Facebook and NeuroTalk and those things. They want that connection. Be willing to be the only one that goes to the coffee shop 1 day a week. Be willing. It could be you. You never know. Like, I run into people at my yard sale, at the thrift store. Just gotta open your heart. Yeah, someone's waiting, and someone's gonna show up, and she's there every week. Okay, I want to connect, but I can't drive. How many of you cannot get to the group, but you have one in your area? Or how many of you can't drive, so you just can't think you can't be the one? Is anyone unable to drive? Yeah, it happens. There's paratransit, there's other ways, but if you can partner with somebody, we carpool. And I don't care where they live in Santa Rosa, I'll go get them. And, somebody, in my town, or, we work it out. So once you partner with people and you find some other people, that becomes more of a possibility. Research the public transportation in your area. And you might not have it. If you're really rural, then we'll get to the virtual groups in a moment. We'll move into that, because I know there are a lot of people living in the rural area. I know I need to connect, but I'm afraid to talk to somebody, and I'm stuck. Those days, those months, those seasons where you're depressed. Maybe it's just too early in your diagnosis and you're dealing with all the trauma. Maybe you're still in shock. That post-traumatic kind of stuff that goes on. I know I can see some nodding of heads. The denial. It's okay. You're going to move through. It's easier with other people, but at the beginning, I was not ready to meet anybody. I would have been very nervous. It would have taken me, I didn't just all of a sudden decide I'm going to do support groups. I had to work through that journey the same as anybody else. I was afraid of the phone. I know I did virtual calls, and this is funny. I didn't want to talk on the phone. I was really uncomfortable being around people that were suffering. How many of you can relate to that? Or could at some point? That's normal. That's absolutely normal. And don't judge yourself for being in that space. Just notice it and let it pass through as you walk through your journey. Yes?
For you to have that acceptance of yourself.
You know what? I think the acceptance for me, it came and went. There were so many layers to the acceptance. And so, but probably about 2 years, I noticed a huge change. It's different for different people. Some people it might be longer, maybe some people it's shorter, depending on, I know, some people have grown up around people that were suffering, physically, and they're more comfortable with it. It was something, I was 28 when I was diagnosed 9 years ago. I didn't really introduce myself in that way. But I had 2 really small children, and I was really busy at home. I wasn't ready to meet people face to face. I'm shy. I hear that a lot. It's okay to be shy. We have the internet. I don't need to attend a support group. A lot of people are just in that space where they feel they don't know what it has to offer. I hope by the end of today that you will consider being a part of something, because you are in community whether you know it or not. And your community is made up of people in here. It's made up of people in your life, your old relationships that are coming in. All of it's a part of your community, and you impact it all. I'm not a patient, I'm a caregiver. I hear this one a lot. My husband says it. You'll meet him tomorrow if you're coming on the boat. For caregivers in the community, we're going to go into more detail in a minute, but you are such a vital part. When we have big plans for you. Yeah, come on, some applause for that. Foster care. We adore you. And you are the key to awareness. And we're going to talk later. This is sort of my model for how to stay in community. Because it's a cycle, just like everything else that you're going through. Get curious. Curiosity is my best friend. How many of you have an imagination? I know you do. I want you to develop your curiosity about community. Whatever, and the CRPS community, and awareness, like all of that in together, your needs, whatever. Let's get curious about it. What if? It could be all these wonderful things that you don't think that it's going to be. What if there's somebody out there that you're going to identify with and share hobbies with and make long-term relationship? What if, you know, your families are going to connect with a family someplace else and you end up having a place to stay when you're going to have a procedure because they're just all the way in for you? That's the kind of stuff that happens. People with CRPS give to one another in an enormous way because we get it. We know what it's like not to have the ride home from the infusion and whatever else is going on. You have no idea, maybe you do, that I'm just so amazed by the capacity to give by all of you and the love and compassion that's in this room right now. It's unbelievable. Like there's no other group I have ever experienced. Get personal. If you don't take a step in the water, even though it's so scary, because there's people there, you know, joining a Facebook group, if you don't plug in and open up an online account, if you're afraid to get on Facebook, I was so afraid of Facebook, because then you have to show up all the time, and then people know what you're up to, and then I don't want everyone to know that I'm not feeling well, or, you know, just thinking about those things. How many of you have felt that way? Like, what if my boss or finds out that I'm not feeling well, or what if workman's comp is chasing me? You know, man, get personal. Just take a risk, put your foot in the water. You can do a toe. Just a toe is fine. But if you don't put any part of yourself out there, you will not get anything back. You gotta step in. Be flexible. Reevaluate. You can put your toe in the water or your whole foot and then go, no, I gotta get back for a while, I'm not doing so well. That's okay. Just go back and go again. Make sure that you go again. It's okay to backtrack and go back in. How are you doing today? You don't know how you're going to feel tomorrow, right? You don't know. So choosing to be in community is the very first step. I had to commit to community. I had to commit for myself, not just in my area, but that I wanted to show up in all that I am, regardless of whether you like me or not, even though I feel really adored right now. You have to decide that you're going to do it. You have to make some kind of commitment, even if it's a little goal of just like, I'm going to go to Panera and go and have my very first coffee meetup. And I'm going to go and if nobody comes, that's okay, but I'm going to go one time this quarter. Within, you know, and set the day, post it, or let me know, call RSDSA, whatever you need to do, and just go and show up, just that first time. The commitment that to that point in that meeting, just like a coffee meetup is like, that's like the first step to everything. You can talk to anybody over coffee, or tea, or water, whatever you want to drink. But just getting yourself out of the house that first time is so important. How many of you have ever met another person with CRPS for coffee or tea? Yeah, there's quite a few, but like not even a third. So just think about that. Maybe you don't know anyone in your area. We'll go over that. And keep your eyes, your ears, and your heart open because possibilities are there. The resources are there, and those new relationships are coming. Like my yard sale. As soon as I committed, you know, coming up. I have a yard sale like 2 weeks later, and I'm watching a woman hold her hand, and I just, you know, when you see somebody and you want to ask, but you don't want to ask. And I was asked her about her arm, and it turns out she has CRPS, and now she's in our group, and it's phenomenal. You just don't know, but as soon as I committed, I started noticing things because I was looking out. My heart was open to it, my mind was open to it, And it was just like serendipity. You know, here they come. As soon as you make the commitment. I saw a hand. Okay, they were stretching. Okay. So building face-to-face communities, find a time that works for you. Some people are like surveying the world, you know, like who wants to go and when can you go? Well, that could take forever. So find a time that works for you. When can you commit? Because that's the day. You can always change it. Remember, you're going to be flexible and you're going to go again. So find a time that works for you. You decide when you can be there and then invite, because they will come. A central location is really key. These are kind of obvious, but you know, think about the parking. Think about, you know, the environment where you're at. Like, we were meeting at Panera Bread, and then we decided, where's Rebecca? Maybe she isn't in the room right now, but the buzzers, not okay. You know, when you hear the buzzing on the table and then people don't answer it, and that's when their order's ready. So we didn't want to meet there anymore. But so trial and error, and it's fine. You know, find some other place. But think about parking and all those kinds of things, because people who, you know, are in a wheelchair are going to be thinking and planning. Partner with others. If you can't find anybody in your area to meet with, you don't have to love them and be their best friend. You're just going to have coffee. It's just coffee. You're not dating. You know, you don't have to move in with them. You don't have to go to all their appointments with them. You're not adopting them. It's just coffee. It's safe. It's okay. There's no alcohol in it. You're good. Unless you want it. Okay, advertise is important, but more importantly is the commitment. So it's like the advertising, letting people know online, Facebook, you know, creating a group. You can put it in your paper, Craigslist. You know, there's all kinds of ways to do that. But more importantly is your commitment. So I'm just, you know, that's the word of the day. So building it, we started with weekly meetups. So if you want a group in your area, this is the model that I kind of use. A weekly meetup, they know I'm going to be available, we might have a fluctuating 4 to 12 people, but I understand that that's, you know, somebody has a block, somebody else has something else going on, but they know that I'm going to be there, and if I'm sick and I couldn't go like 2 weeks ago, somebody else can cover it. If you're the only one at the beginning and you can't go, I just post back online, you know, I can't go today, and I let them know. But being in relationship with those people, you can cover for each other. You can really cover. A monthly meeting, we're starting in June in Sonoma County again. We're just starting with one night a month, because if you decide, oh, every week at night we're going to meet, you know, right away, it's a lot harder for people. We feel better in the morning or at midday. So if you want to get something started, think about that. And then you can grow into a monthly meeting and then change your process. You know, we're going to do an early evening, but just something to consider. A quarterly social event, you know, everybody is really spread out in the Bay Area, and I don't know about where you live, but we haven't met probably in 6 months all together. But we did meet last year every quarter, and our group, I don't know, like, it just blew up. You know, having a big event annually or semi-annually, and then a quarterly social event, so that our families can get together, and it just kind of gets those juices going. And we're online with each other all the time, but this is just what will connect. And there's a lot of things going on this year that we can talk to you about. Fundraising is so fun. That's why it's in there. Caregivers. Virtual community, creating your online profile. Is there anyone in here not on Facebook and is willing to admit it? Yeah. I didn't like Facebook. I'm still, you know, I'm there because it's a good tool. But there's a lot of people that can't have one there or just choose not to, and that's okay. There's other ways to connect. But we do find that it's a wonderful tool for closed groups and for communicating and spreading encouragement and knowing where everybody is at and just staying in touch. You can come in and go when you want to. Some people are only on there when they need help. You know, some people are on there daily, and some people are on there every 5 minutes. And I found for me, when I started to add people, because you know, then you start meeting people with CRPS and you're add. If that goes on for you, categorize them into groups. Like, I have my RSD section, I have like work contacts, and then having family, and then you don't have to like read through. If you're feeling discouraged and everybody is posting about not feeling good that day, You know, and that's why you don't want to be on Facebook? Well, think about that. You can just click, and if you need help with that, come see me. But it's a great way to organize. And then you don't have to tell the whole world how you're feeling if you're not comfortable with that. You can talk about it in a closed group or in a secret group, and nobody can look at it. So organize it, you know, plan it. You know, partner with others online, you know, developing groups, and post what inspires you, what helps you, and also what you need. When you are speaking from your heart and that gut place, like where your pain is coming from and hitting you in a real way, whatever that struggle is, you are speaking for so many people. The ones who are willing to communicate are the ones that are really building relationship and getting that support, because they admit when they're down. And when they're happy, or something else is going good, or they have a quote that came through that blessed them, you know, they post it. And that is what's getting the response. And those people, you can just see in the thread, they're getting a response. I also ask a lot of questions on there. And, you know, we do weekly conference calls in the RSD living room, which is one of the groups that I administer. A weekly conference call, it's a free conference number, meaning we are going to be getting an 800 number, but right now it is a toll call, you know, if you have long distance. If you have cell phone minutes, you're good, depending on your plan. And we call in and we do a regular support group over the phone. How many of you have participated in a virtual call before, a conference call? Okay, we have them, and you can start one. I will help you. Book clubs. Where's Zoe Lashley? Up there in the back. She's amazing. When you come together over a book or something like that, we have a club going on right now with How to Be Sick by Tony Bernhardt, who is from Davis, California. It's an amazing book. It's a great tool, and if you're uncomfortable talking to other people, this is a fantastic way with a structure that you can just engage in the whole process together and practice letting go, or whatever it is, you know, for the chapter. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can talk to me or to Zoe. And again, we're on Facebook, and we manage ourselves in the RSD living room. That's a Facebook group. Sharing interests. Some of us have found we have similar hobbies. It's another great way to connect. Skype. I do some Skype sessions with people. Google Hangout, the young people really enjoy. Anybody with children with CRPS, we love Google Hangout because I can get a halo or a birthday cap, or, you know, there's all these little games on there. I play it with the teens that are in our group, and it's phenomenal. My mom and I do it too. It's just great stuff. So you can have like 3 or 4 people on there with you, and there's games that you can play, and it's a chance just to kind of let your guard down. And it's great. You know, it's on Google. So some of the pitfalls of virtual community, these are things you're already thinking right now, but I wrote them down for you. And you can have a slide later, I know it's small. People that only engage in virtual community can still feel isolation and be disconnected. That you can create a profile that is unlike you altogether, and you can control it and stay as far away from people as you want. Or you can step in with all the beauty that you are, and in your faults, in your strengths, and have something else. Sometimes the technology and the lingo, like people coming in at different generations, it's really hard to understand, like how am I supposed to say that? I know one of the gentlemen in our group thought LOL meant lots of love. So he always uses lots of love, and it works, it's totally fine, but it was just kind of a cute thing. It means laugh out loud, okay? And I love it because he always signs everything lots of love. And that's a silly one, but if that's bothering you or you're having trouble understanding what people are saying, ask questions. People are very generous. Internet etiquette, like, is somebody going to post on your Facebook page a question about your medical procedure? Maybe you're not comfortable with that. So when you meet people, let them know what's okay for you. I had one patient that mentioned to me, she does, because of her work and her boss is on there, she only talks in the closed groups. And we respect that. And I was so thankful that she said something. If you're engaging with other people, private message, if it's a medical question, or work in the closed group unless you know. And if you accidentally do that, people, just talk about it. It's okay. Privacy and security. Be aware of where you're posting. Sometimes there's miscommunication because last I checked, we're all human. So if you don't understand what people are saying or you don't like a vibe in a group or whatever, if you're not, and that's what's holding you back, ask questions and get clear. Make a phone call. If you only are reading text all the time, you're going to miss context. You're going to miss that voice tense. It's going to be challenging. So, get to know the people that you're talking to, especially if you're giving a lot of personal information out. Get to know who they are. It's hard to be vulnerable. Sometimes the expense, some people can't afford the internet. Maybe you feel afraid that you're going to get unsolicited advice. Well, you don't have to take it. Okay? They're free to say what they're saying, but you don't have to take that advice. Okay? And it's not a replacement for a psychologist or a doctor. So if you are only asking online your medical questions, I do not recommend that you do that. You need to talk to your doctor. It is a place to get some understanding of symptoms and things, but that should not be your main source for information. That sometimes happens. The benefits, these are kind of self-explanatory, but it's nice to navigate from home and you can control your environment, get help, meet others around the world. There's lots of tools, and it's easy to spread awareness. For caregivers and partners, this is a really, really important piece to me. Planning and scheduling something weekly outside of your home. Having your life continue to go on. We talked about it earlier. But communicate about it. Maybe you have a night that you go out and do something else. Get outside of the illness. Outside of that domain. Make sure that you're reducing your stress. You're going to build your community beyond the CRPS. If you are only within that and you're healthy and in that, you just want to make sure that you're engaging. Engage in the exercise. Maintain your hobbies. Create new ones. Don't forget about your families. I know along my journey, I wasn't always aware of what was going on with my kids emotionally around those levels because when you're looking here, you can't see everything. And family is community too, so make sure you're still engaging as a family and do what you can, whether it's game night or some other things, but they're part of your community too. And my daughter Alyssa is up in the back there. And she's fabulous. 15 and fabulous. Asking for help from trusted friends. Sometimes caregivers wear the burden of, and they're not sharing, or they go inside. This happens to many of us, but just remember that those friends for us who have CRPS, sometimes it's difficult to carry them forward. We don't know how to talk with some of those relationships. Renegotiate and go again with those friends. I've had some friends that were in my life in the past that I was able to bring back through. We had to find a new, a code word for when I'm really, really doing bad and I'm not just flaking. Or whatever that is, because, plans are going to change or things like that. But as a partner or a spouse, keep bringing those friends back in if you can. Awareness and teaming up. We need healthy bodies, setting things up, engaging. Parents do amazing things for the kids, and spouses and partners, sometimes you just need something to do because this disease just seems to go on, right, the syndrome? So if there was something you could do, wouldn't you do it? That's how I felt. And so whether we're having a run or an event or something, just consider participating in whatever way. Maybe you're a driver, or maybe you set the tent up, but become a part of the community. If you hear some other things going on, you have amazing ideas. Amazing ideas are a huge resource. We don't want to forget about you. And also healthy boundaries is so important in community. Just keep them clear and keep talking about them. Okay. All right, I've got about 5 minutes left. Okay. This is one of my favorite quotes. And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. Just think about where you are right now. How tight is your bud? I want you to just picture your community right now. Picture your heart. Think about what it is that you would like community to be, look, and feel like. And whatever it takes to get from that point to what it is that you want to create, we are willing to help you with that. Whatever it looks like. But for me, getting to that place where I was so isolated and didn't have the understanding, I had cut off the healthy people in my life, not even realizing it. I had withdrawn outside of the communities that I was in, and I was trying to just like grin and bear with it. And I'm fine, I'm okay, and I'm going to do this, and I don't want to burden anybody. And by not burdening anybody, I was pulling myself out of a support system that could have been there for me when I was in my darkest days. And they were there for me when I came back out. Wherever you are at today, in your life, whatever your online community looks like, if you don't have a support group in your area, I just want to reiterate, it is possible for you to engage with whatever resource and energy that you have to give. Whatever it is, if that's like just this little bit, it is possible, and we will multiply it and do something together. It is completely possible. You do not have to be in this alone. You have an index card. I want you to look around the room right now, but specifically to the person on your left. You have an opportunity right now. I want you to write a note to the person on your left. You know, one word or more. Briefly. And this could be an encouragement to them. It could be your information. It could be something that you noticed about them that you admire.
Can you ask them out on a date?
You can ask them out on a date.
Bachelor here.
That's right. This is your moment to put your foot in the pool. It starts with the person right next to you. And this is the end of my presentation. So make a choice today to stay alive and to give.